Hey everyone, James from Support here. Welcome back to another on-course tutorial. In this video, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Contra Invoice function and also payments out. So to take a look at Contra Invoices, or Contraing Invoices in this case, which is the correct use of the term, we're going to come to the Invoices window and we're actually going to look at credit notes. So we'll click the credit notes filter up here. And we can see that there's a whole bunch of credit notes here that have been listed. So what the Contra Invoice function does is it simply lets you, it's simply just another term for applying an invoice to, applying a credit note to an invoice with an owing amount. So it's basically just cancelling, using a credit note to cancel out an invoice. Let's have a look at Bob. Does Bob have any invoices to Contra? Yes, he does. So Bob has a credit note worth $100. And if we come down here to the cogwheel, click that with the credit note highlighted, you can see that this Contra Invoice function isn't grayed out, which means that he has an owing invoice that we can apply this to. So if that's grayed out, that means that the person that has the credit note doesn't have any invoices against their name with an owing amount on them, so you can't apply the Contra. But in this case, you can. So we're going to click this Contra Invoice button, and you can see here this one's quite simple. There's if they had more than one owing invoice, then it would appear here in a list. In this case, obviously there is only the one invoice, invoice 3401, owing amount of $100. And we have $100 left to allocate. So obviously this will just cancel all of this out and bring this person's account to zero. So we're going to click this and select that invoice, and we can see that the amount left to allocate is now zero. We'll hit save, and Bob's credit note is now gone, but also the owing amount off that invoice is now gone as well. The next thing I want to show you is a payment out, which is basically another word for a refund. So applying a refund to somebody's credit note. So you can only refund credit notes. You can't refund invoices, obviously, because that's money being owed to you. And in this case, we're going to take a look at credit note 3508, which belongs to this guy, Tom Thompson. And we'll just highlight it, come back down to the cogwheel again, and we'll hit apply payment out. So in this case, Tom's payment, and I know this because I checked this before, but Tom's initial payment was made by credit card. So the way that this works is you have to first select a payment type that you're going to refund. In this case, we want to refund Tom's credit card because that's how he made the payment. It's only the right way to, you should always try to refund in the same method that it was paid to you. And we'll hit credit card, and we can see here, now we have this field to pick from. And this is where you actually have to select the payment that you're going to refund. So we can see here, this all looks like a lot, but this is basically a token that comes from the payment gateway that is stored. And you can see here, this is going to be the actual credit card payment that we're going to refund. You can see here, this one was for $88, so we know that this is the same payment. Even if it was a different payment, we could choose to pick that one instead if we had to. You just need to be aware of the card type that you're selecting. So in this case, we'll highlight this payment. You can see there's a whole lot of payment data in here. You don't need to worry about that. And we can just, you can change the date paid if you want to, but we don't need to in this case. You can see the amount paid is already set, $88. We're going to hit save. And that's done. That payment out record's been created. That money's gone. Now out of your system and into Tom's credit card. That refund will obviously take a few days to push through because of the banks. But that's how you go and apply a payment out in this case. Let's do one more. Let's say we come down here and we find Jim has this one here. You can see here he obviously has an invoice also next to this. But let's say that we want to, let's ignore that and say that that doesn't exist, and we actually just want to apply a payment out in this case. So let's do that. We'll hit apply payment out. And let's say that this Jim actually came into the office and paid by cash, and so he's going to want that back in cash, or maybe he wanted back by FPOS. In this case, when you select cash, check, or FPOS or anything like that, you're not actually moving money out of your bank per se. You're just telling OnCourse that that this is what you're doing, and then you're going to have to externally hand over the cash or run through the FPOS process to refund. So in this case, we'll say cash. Need to select a site just because perhaps this wasn't set in the first place. You don't normally have to worry about that, but that just tells you where the money is going to be coming from. And check everything else. Everything else is fine. It's going to be paid on the 3rd of May. That's the total amount. And we'll hit save. And that's done. That payment out record has now been created. We can come in here and we can see that the owing amount has gone down to 0. So there's nothing left owing on that credit note. And that is a quick explainer on Contra Invoices and payments out.